Welcome everyone. Welcome to session. It's about Azure Static Web Apps for cloud professionals. Myself Anurag. I work as an architect CTO for a company called Software Solutions. I used to blog about .NET Azure on .NET.net, and you can follow me Twitter at the right entrance. Okay, so here is the agenda. We will be discussing what is Azure Static Web Apps. We will be discussing what are key features of Azure Static Web Apps. Then we will look into how or what we can do with static web apps. Then we will be looking into how we can create a Azure Static Web App and host it. And we will be looking into developing static web app blocking. I'm planning for it. I don't have much slides, so I'll be doing most of the time some slides and some portal kind of thing. So, what is Azure Static Web Apps? So, if you look into Azure platform, you get a lot of services available for hosting web applications. But what's the difference with like app services, Azure Container Apps? Then you can host it in virtual machine. But the advantage of Azure Static Web App, it automatically it is tightly integrated with source control, and you can deploy full stack applications in a very easy without any you don't need to manage anything. It's a fully PaaS solution. What I mean by fully PaaS, we cannot access, if you are talking about app services also a PaaS service. But in case of app services, we can access some of the web server folders, logs, and all. But in case of Azure Static Web Apps, it is purely managed by Azure. We cannot access, or we don't know where it is actually hosted. So basically, this is the architecture. So when we change code, it automatically builds the code and deploy it to Azure Static Web App. It is actually something like a Azure CDN plus a backend API. So that's a basic structure. Azure Static Web Apps come in two pricing tiers, free tier and standard. In case of free tier, you can use only Azure Functions as backend. But if you are going for standard tier, you can use app services, API management, container apps, all those things you can. Again, Azure Functions with all the other bindings. In case of free tier, it is only HTTP trigger or HTTP binding. So this is about what is static web apps. Static web apps mostly used in scenarios where you want to build and deploy static web apps. Static web apps means something like a blog engine like Ghost or Jekyll driven, or single page applications like Angular frontend, backend is Azure Functions or API management or whatever. Okay, this is the basic structure. Let's look into key features. As I mentioned, web hosting for static content like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and images. By default is integrated with Azure Functions. Again, you can choose if you don't want any backend functionalities, you can ignore that part. But it by default for free builds, it offers Azure Functions, and that Azure Functions can be any language supported by Azure Functions. Like it can be Python, it can be C#, it can be Node, it can be partial as well. Yeah, this one I already mentioned. If you are using free tier, Azure Functions is backend, but for standard account or standard pricing tier, you can have Azure Functions, API Manager, the App Services, Azure Content Apps. Anything can be linked and can be used as a backend. This is another interesting feature. First-class integration with GitHub and Azure DevOps. So unlike as I mentioned earlier, you don't have access to the file system where it is getting deployed. So it is driven by Azure Azure DevOps or GitHub Actions. So whatever you change, whatever code change you be doing, you will be committing, and it will be deployed automatically. So when we are creating Azure Static Web App, you have to choose a GitHub repo or Azure DevOps. There is a little bit configuration required for Azure DevOps, but by default it comes with a GitHub action. So whenever you creating an Azure Static Web App, you need to choose a GitHub action. So sorry, GitHub repo. So it will be automatically deployed. And yeah, it is as that front-end static content is deploying into a CDN, so it is globally distributed. Free SSL certificate, which is automatically renewed. So in App Service, Azure App Service also, now this feature is available for all the custom domains. Azure by default provides a free SSL certificate, and it will be by default it is 6 months, like expiry is in 6 months, but it will automatically renew. You don't need to do anything. Moving on, yeah, custom domains. Again, the number of custom domains varies depending on the pricing tier, but by default, Static Web App supports custom domains. So again, I'm comparing with App Services. For App Services, you cannot have custom domains or as a certificate in like basic or shared tier, free tier. But in case of Azure Static Web Apps, custom domains are provided by default. So you can customize the domain so that you can host the app. And seamless security model with the reverse proxy when calling API. So that's what I mean. What is mean by that is like when we are configuring a API and a like front end code from this static CDN or storage account, you need to configure CORS policy. But in case of Azure Static Web App, it comes by default. So you don't need to configure any CORS, or you cannot configure. Yeah, you can, but it's a little bit tricky again. But you don't need to configure by default. Unless you require some special configuration, you don't need to configure anything. Another interesting feature, authentication provider integrations. By default, Azure Static Web Apps comes with 5 authentication providers. 2 of them are in preview. Azure Active Directory, GitHub, Twitter is supported fully, and Facebook and Google is in preview. So in case of app services and Azure Content Apps, almost all these services offers authentication. You just need to configure your client ID and client secret. But in case of Azure Static Web App free, you don't need to configure anything. It has its own advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is we don't need to worry about the client app creation, all those things. But disadvantages, it actually you cannot customize these app name. So if you are using free tier, you cannot configure custom social media applications. But for standard tier, it is custom authentication is supported. So you can configure any of the providers like Auth0 or anything. You can configure. Customizable authorization role definition. So again, you can configure roles, and if it is an admin, what's the role, and if it those users role configuration is possible. Again, backend routing rules. So you can control water routing. For example, if you are using Angular routing, you can say, okay, for this route, you need to be authenticated, or this route is anonymous, and this route is only protected for certain roles. That kind of configuration you can do. You can do it with Blazor, all those things as well. This is a very unique feature. So if you want to do A/B testing in app services, again I'm using app service as an example. If you want to do A/B testing, or if you want to roll out a new feature without affecting the production version, in case of app services, how do we manage? We will create a slot, app service slot, and we will be deploying our code to a particular slot, not production slot. And when we want to roll out that feature to production, we will swap the slot. But in case of Azure Static Web App, you just need to create a branch with a new configuration, and when we push that, when we raise a pull request, Azure Static Web App create a site for you, and you can test it. So that's again a very unique feature. So yeah, these are the features of Azure Static Web App. What you can do with Azure Static Web Apps, you can build modern web applications with JavaScript frameworks and libraries like Angular, React, Vue, or you can create Blazor WebAssembly as an application. You cannot create server WebAssembly like Blazor server-side applications and Azure functions as backend. You can publish static sites like Hugo, Plus, or Jekyll. I used like some time back. I was running my application like blog site on Azure Static Web App. Now I moved to GitHub. Then deploy web applications with Next.js and Node.js. I never tried this one, but this first two I tried also. Yeah, here is the difference between standard tier and free tier. So if you look into I will explain it in Portal as well. So this is free for hobby personal projects, standard for general purpose production apps. Price is free. Bandwidth is same. Bandwidth overage. So after 100 GB, you have to pay 14 INR per GB. Custom domains, if for free, you can have 2, but for standard, it is 5. SSL certificate is free for both. Custom authentication is not supported in free tier. Private endpoints for example, if you want to host it in a subnet or virtual network, you can do it. It is only available in standard tier. Application size, there is a restriction. You can have only 250 MB. For standard tier, it's 500 MB. Staging environments, you can have maximum 3. But in case of standard, it is 10. Azure functions, yes, again, it is managed, so you don't have any control. Okay, you can deploy it, but you don't have any control, like, okay, how it is running, where it is running, what is the platform, all those things, you don't have any control. But in case of standard, it is managed, and you can reuse your existing functions as well. For example, for Azure functions, it will support only HTTP binding. But if you want another binding or trigger, time trigger, something like that, you can use standard. Enterprise grade, it's a CDN service. It is only available standard tab. Next, yeah, let's build our first app with Azure Static Web App. Do I need to wait for any questions, or how do you handle questions?
That's fine. Like, it's all up to you.
Okay. So here I can create a static web app. It is Azure Static Web App is relatively a new service, and it is not available in all the regions. Only for Indian customers. East Asia is the like regional wise, it is like easy to access to us. So again, you need to create a source group. So I'm creating one. This is again for our purpose only. It not be unique. By default, Azure will give a domain name for us. So I'm skipping all this. I'm choosing standard. I'm choosing East Asia. Yeah, here by default it is GitHub is selected. You can choose Azure DevOps or any other. For example, if you want to deploy it from GitLab, it is also supported. So in that scenario, you will get a deployment token. You need to use that token to deploy. So I am choosing GitHub, and my account is already connected. Okay, so I'm choosing my repo. Sorry, my name. Okay, there is a static web app. Hello world, but I hope this won't work, because by default now Azure Static Web App will only can be deployed from a main branch, not master branch. So like it is a very old hello world. This one, I'm not sure what is it. Let me check. Okay, it's different one. So what I'm doing, I'll come to this. So this is a site which offers templates. So this is the way. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here, instead of first creating the Azure like static web app directly, first I'm creating the source in my GitHub account, and I'm so here and I am using a vanilla API. So in this vanilla API, there is a API. It will be a Node API, and it is nothing. It's a index.html. That's it. I'm using this template. Just make it public. I'm not including all the branches. I'm creating repository. Once I create, it got created with an action. So I don't think it will get deployed. Choosing Dear Azure, however, and I'm choosing me. Yeah, build result. So okay, since it's managed by GitHub Actions, we need to specify okay what we are building. For example, here we can choose what is the framework it is using. If it is Angular, Blazor, Next, React, Vue, all those things we need to specify. But in our case, it's pure HTML, so I'm choosing custom, and we need to specify the application. So if you look into this application is SRC, so I'm choosing that API location where the API is like API code is there. So I'm choosing API. This is output location is where the build output will come. For example, in case of Angular, by default it will come under dist slash if it is an app like the app name is app, then it will be dist app. So I will again show you a demo. In case of this HTML, there is no specific compilation, so I'm just ignoring that. So we are good with that. Just here we are great. So what it is doing, it will look into the configuration and it will add a GitHub action into my repo. So I click create. Okay, some issue. It is getting deployed. I think these two files are creating problem. Yeah, this is the static web app deployment added. I will do one thing. I'll remove these files. It need not be like this way. I will show the way right now I am doing. This is the, you can say, old way of creating static web app. You look into it. This is since the GitHub action is running, it is waiting for the content. just modifying something. If you look into this code, it is whatever you have configured in the UA. So SRC is the application, API location is API, and output location, all those things are here. There are some other variables as well. For example, say you are building a framework which is not supported by a static web app, and you want to execute certain commands, you can create app command and API command. All those things are available. So you can get all those details here. Okay. It won't take much time. First time. Once it's getting deployed, once it deployed. This is the way. Okay. So let me look into the other option also. So okay, yeah, go deploy. Yeah. So this is the one we deployed, and let me look into the. Since we got a this hello from API is coming from API, Node API. Yeah, so there is a API code. It's just returning hello from API. Okay. So let's look into the different. Yeah. So if you want to use GitLab, you need a deployment token. You can get it from here. So this one is the deployment token. Using this, we can deploy from any source control which is not supported by Azure or Azure Static Web Apps. Okay. I use this for deploying one of my application from GitLab to Azure Static Web App. You need this one. Earlier Azure DevOps also like right now it is supported by default. Like you can choose organization and all, but earlier for Azure DevOps also we were using this method where I will get deployment token and I need to set it as a variable in the pipeline. All those things we need to manage, but right now it's not required. This is all those things like access control. All those things are by default whatever we used to get in all the Azure services. Configuration, yeah. So if I want to use any API configuration, for example, a database connection string, all those things we can configure here. These things, again, it is relatively new. It's only if I want to protect my application by password, this thing. Yeah. This is again available only as part of standard tab. Here, environment is production only because we don't have any other environment. That's why it is showing only production. If I created a staging environment, that will also come here. Yeah, application sites again. Since it's a purely managed solution, if I'm facing any issue with my Azure functions, there is no way I can debug the Azure function. So the recommended practice is create an application set and associate it. For this one, I am not creating anything. Custom domains, again, this is the way we are adding custom domains. So I can add a custom domain using Azure DNS or any other DNS like our Google domain or GoDaddy. So click on this and you can specify, okay, blog.Anurag. And when you click next, it will give you a CNAME. And sometimes like you need to add this CNAME and text record, then only you will be able to bind it. I'm not doing that for this. I will show you a demo where I already added a custom domain. And once you add a custom domain, you can choose, okay, by default, should this, when we access the domain name, should it be the URL or something else? And APIs, the Azure functions, whatever functions we have created, it will be here. This means if you want to like in standard plan, you can bring your own functions or app services or API management or Azure Container Apps. So for that, you need to link them, but for free tier, it is not available. You need to use function app. So if I click on this, I will get the details of the API Azure function we were using. Environments, again, I have only one main. Role management, this is the place where we can assign role for users. Authentication, I will come because by default, authentication is offered out of the box. So I just need to say /Twitter/login. Okay, I'll come to that. I will again try on the board. Identity, again, it is part of standard plan. Here we can specify, like if I want to use static web app identity, like managed identity and all, we will be able to configure here. This is again CDN hosting plan. Yeah, this is the place where we can upgrade or downgrade our private endpoints. Again, it is this is the most of the configuration I've covered. Okay, yeah. Let's get into. Okay, this is a Hello World project. Let me take a production. It's not a production quality. It is a project where I am hosting one of my project. It is using a custom domain bookmarks.android.dev. So I got a configuration. I got a DB connection, all those things here, and I configured application sites. So I created and configured it. Yeah, custom domain. This one I'm using custom domain, and if you notice there is an option default. So even if I browse this, it will be automatically redirected to my custom domain. Okay. You can switch, like set as default. What is this one unset default? So this is the custom domain configuration, and I have got multiple APIs. This is a project where this application helps you to organize your bookmarks. So it's a just experiment project, and if you look into it, I got a few Azure functions. This project is built on Angular. So yeah, this is not it's a public one. So I don't have any environments. I'll show you a demo. And this is on free tab. Okay. Let me open that solution. This is the project. Okay, so I'm opening it in Visual Studio. VS Code. This project contains API, which is a .NET a project, and app, which is Angular, and this is the static web app code. So you notice this output location. This is what I was mentioning. Like when we are creating, we need to specify where it is getting deployed. So when I am building an Angular app, it will be deployed to here. This slash. It's lowercase of this one. App location and API location. I don't have any other custom logic. I think I have one project where I am using custom building command. Let me take an example. I think I had one, so I think I removed it. Okay. Then okay, the Angular project, you can access whatever your API/API. So if I want to access, say, I have got an endpoint. I have got an endpoint like profile. I can access it API/profile. So that I'm using profile component. I'm just writing whatever code I want to write. It may not be optimized. So here, if you look into this, I'm calling this.http get /API/profile. So this way, the /API is by default. Whatever Azure function you need to call, you need to call it like that. Okay, and for this project, I am using a component for static web app authentication. It's called Angular SW auth. So once it is configured, you are able to configure any authentication provider. So if you look into this, okay, so this one I will show a demo. I'll come to that. So here if you look into or login/Twitter. I'm just trying that. So it is actually logging in. Since I already logged in, it is showing like that. So if I go here, I'm going into private mode so that you'll be able to see the demo. So it will show, okay, this is Azure Static Web Apps 2. This is the application name. Since we are using free tier, we don't need to configure anything, but this is the issue. You cannot specify what is the application name. So I am just using this, and it is authenticated. This is again a consent I need to grant. Then it will be authenticated. Since I am not looking into the authentication aspect, it is ignored. Nothing is happening. But in case of this one, so in this navigation bar, I am sign up to Twitter. Here I am saying authentication service not login, identity provider is Twitter, and redirect URL is dashboard. So it will be redirected, and this auth service that Angular SWA support all those authentication, all those things. So I recommend you check out. I will like right now it is this repo is closed source. I will open source. I'll make it public. Okay. Then yeah. Okay. So let me. So this is one. Let's look into. I did some changes. Okay. Okay, I wanted to show you that other thing. I'm just adding a different one, and here instead of committing to main, I'm creating a different branch. Feature SWA stage. And I'm pushing my changes to that, and I'm publishing this branch. So I got a notification like I can create a pull request. So I am creating a pull request. So if you notice, it will trigger a build with this branch, and once it is completed, it will create a separate site. Here you will be able to see a new deployment. Okay, this might take 2-3 minutes. So I'm looking into how. Okay, all these things are fine, but how do we like when it started, when Azure Static Web App introduced, there is no way we can test it locally. So what I used to do, there is a component called live server, which will help us to proxy. So I used to run an application and like do a proxy with live server, and I used to test. But still, scenarios like authentication and all, we were not able to manage. But later, Microsoft team introduced a static web app CLA. So this is you need Node once you install this, you will get a command line like this, SWA. So I'm saying, so static web app CLI, and these are the parameters: login, start, deploy. So these are again related new functionalities. Earlier it was start and all. So here you can start a web app, or you can create an tested login. So if you look into this solution, this project, I was creating a folder, and then I created a like API project and an app, all those things in my local machine, and I tested it with static web app CLI. Then I like tried it in uh, see like Azure Static Web App. Here I'm saying Dear Azure. Here I'm saying uh, GNU. Okay, I'm creating an application in GNU. Maybe I'm creating a yes. I'm just using defaults. Here again I'm creating an API folder, and I'm creating Azure function using base code. I think there might be an issue with my it, it may create it on that not in API folder. So I just switch to API folder, and I'm trying to create it again. I'm using a .NET and .NET 6. I'm using HTTP trigger and it's putting main. And this one we need to know like the not like you should use anonymous. The authentication, there is a Microsoft like pseudo code available. You need to use that for authentication. So here my Azure function ready. My app also is ready. So if I want to run SWA start, I need to stop. Uh, Here I can say application app, and it might not work because this app is Angular one, so SWA may not start this. But for normal apps, it for HTML it will work. So, but it is building actually um, Angular app. Sorry, Azure functions. It is getting built, and it is waiting for that code to ready. I'm not sure that code is already in use. No, it is different. So this is running, and once it is done, you will be able to access it like this. But again, it may not work. It is because it is an Angular application. So what I used to do, I will say, I will run my I used to run my Angular application like this, and in the SW start application, I will say should be host that port number 4806. Okay, the other one 420. If you now it is ready, and if you still it is showing has changed. Okay. To avoid these kind of issues, I already created a npm command, so I don't need to look into all these things. So here is my npm command. So I don't need to specify location. So what I used to do, I will run my API using Visual Studio so that I can debug or VS Code, not this way. So I used to do like this: SW start, and we can specify run, and API location, all those things we can. It will support HTTPS also. If you want to test in HTTPS, it will support, but again, it is a little bit tricky, and you need like some more configuration, like your own domain. Uh, your own what SSL certificate, custom created certificates, and also I used to run it without HTTP. Yes. So now, if you notice, that deployment is completed. Whatever we were doing a separate branch, right? So testing, and if you look into this, it is a and the custom domains, you will get a domain as well, your domain as well. Okay. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. You should get a custom domain. I don't know why. Yeah, sorry. Here. Yeah. So if you notice, you will get a -2, and this is my production version. And if in this there won't be any H1, but here this is a additional one. So this way we can introduce staging. Okay. This way you can have multiple staging environments. You just need to raise a pull request against main branch, and once it is done, again you can merge this pull request and close it. I'm not doing that right now. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's the way you can like use CLA. So these are the advantages. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to show you that. So here you can say dot log into Twitter, and you can test your authentication scenarios locally. Since I am not managing anything, it's not showing whether I am logged in or not. And in API, for getting that access to that user, this is a Microsoft code. So once you are authenticated, you will get a header like this, and you can get all this data like name, ID, all those things. You will be able to get it from this code. You just need to decrypt it and extract it. Yeah, that's it. I want to show you one more thing. Yeah. Remember I was telling about the like configuration, backend API configuration. This is a special file, static web app config.json. Here we can say, okay, this is the root. This is a root which is authenticated, and all these APIs, profile, links, everything is authenticated. And if you notice, in your local machine, you can say auth.twitter. You can do the same thing with GitHub as well. But it may not be the case always. So you should block all the other providers. So what I'm doing here, I'm only allowing Twitter. All the other providers, if I try to do like this, it will block. It will return a 404. And this is again like, since I'm routing Angular, routing with Angular, I want a navigation fallback. So if I'm saying okay something else, it will always redirect it to index.html, like usual Angular like fallbacks we used to do in app services, right? Yeah, that's it. And if you're using custom authentication, means if you're using standard tab, you can configure your own apps, social media apps. So that also client secret and client ID, we used to keep it in the static web app configuration. This is this should be in the app application root, and it is not accessible to the client. Okay, yeah, that's it. I showed you the demo. And any questions?